Lads, let's do it for this weekend. Up and down the table, match week 28. Let's preview all 10 games, give our score predictions. Nick, obviously, there's only one place to start. Liverpool, Man City, and Anfield. Title battle. Take it away, mate.
Leaders of the vibes table, leaders of the real table, Liverpool. Is this the week that it goes away? And I do think even at Anfield, which will be a very, 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 very big test, I think this is the week it all becomes a little bit too much for them. Coming back from Czechia, Man City resting players. If Liverpool were to get this, then we might as well etch their names on whatever we're at, or putting the red ribbons on the trophy. Whatever we do, it's not the Stanley Cup, Nick. It's the Premier League trophy. I get my trophies mixed up. I think this is the week that City just about let Liverpool know you're having an incredible season. You can go win a couple other trophies, but this isn't going to be the one.
Yeah, so many great battles all across the pitch. Again, it could be Klopp against Guardiola for the final time as Liverpool and City boss. They could meet up in the FA Cup final, of course, but right now I think it's going to be close. City are flying, Liverpool are just vibing, and destiny on their side, and they have key players coming back from injuries. So really intrigued to see how this one lines up, but I think you're right, Nick. Like a 2-1 win to City feels about right for this game, but it's going to be really tight and tense. And as we've seen in these clashes between Klopp and Guardiola over the years, small margins, very fine ones, will make all the difference. Andy, staying at the top of the table, Arsenal host Brentford. Arsenal probably going to win, 5 or 6-0 most games, right? That's just what happens right now. But as a Tottenham fan, I can already see you rolling your eyes. But take it away, mate. Preview and predict Arsenal-Brentford.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is kind of the reality of the situation with Arsenal right now. They're really, really, really good, and they're in great form at the moment. They've been fit and healthy for quite a while now, which is typically not something that you can say for Arsenal. And I think Arteta has a great idea of what his team should look like. Not even what the starting 11 is, but what the situationally, this is the change I make in this situation. That's the change I make in that situation. And I think when a manager gets into kind of that comfort zone and just has that much of a feel and control over his team, especially at this point of the season, that's a sign of they could win something. And I think they're second in the title race at the moment. I'll agree with Nick on Liverpool City and the way that one's going to go. And I do think it comes down to City Arsenal at the end. As for this weekend for Arsenal, Brentford, great time to play them. So I'm looking at their results here. They have not avoided defeat. Forget win. Avoided defeat in back-to-back games since November the 4th. It's been almost 4 months it's been over 4 months since they have gone multiple games without being beaten in the Premier League. So they're in terrible form at the moment, just trying to get to the end of the season and hoping that the 3 promoted teams can be just bad enough to keep them in the league this season and they can regroup in the summer. So I'll go 4-1 to Arsenal in this one.
Wow, that's fair. Wow. Slightly less than their usual 5 or 6-0, but still a commanding win. Aston Villa against Tottenham. Nick Mendola, this is a huge one in the Champions League scrap. Obviously, Villa are in 4th, Tottenham are in 5th. Spurs have a game in hand. This, in theory, should be one of the games of the season, the way these two teams play, the attacking players. Really exciting game at Villa Park.
Yeah, last time we saw these two teams meet, Tottenham missing some extreme sincerely important competitors, including Madison and Van de Ven, Richarlison. The flip side of this is at Villa Park has been it's one of those venues this year, like Anfield was 2 years ago, where when you're watching a game on TV, you wonder, did our NBC crew sneak the volume up, or is it really that loud? And I think that honestly could be one of the big differences here. Watkins, the closest thing we have in the Premier League right now to a Harry Kane type player, a complete competitor, a warrior that at center forward who's not going to come out of the game. But Tottenham, man, that midfield when it's firing, there is every reason to call this, in terms of the spectacle, in terms of the game you're about to witness, a probable game of the season. And I would bet on it delivering.
What are we going score-wise?
I don't know. I'll go 2-2.
I went 4-3 to Spurs. So there's going to be goals. If it's 0-0, It's just not going to be 0-0. So don't worry if it's going to be 0-0. Don't come at us, but it's not going to be 0-0 between Villa and Spurs. Man United, Everton. It's a game I'm going to look at. United, both these teams are desperate for a win, obviously, for very different reasons. United against Man City last time out. Scored a great goal through Rashford. Didn't do a lot for the rest of the game. The gulf in class between themselves and the title contenders was clear for all to see. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty around the club right now with the future, with Ineos calling the shots. Is Erik ten Hag going to be there? Which players are going to be there? What is our style of play? And a lot of players seem very uncomfortable at Manchester United. And kind of the same at Everton, not from a playing perspective, but off the pitch with all the issues. There's potential further points deductions, haven't won in 10. Obviously played okay against West Ham last time out, but the way they lost that game, coughed up a few late goals, missed a penalty, missed chances galore. That just sums up their season under Sean Dyche. They should be way higher in the table with or without the points deduction, but they cannot finish chances. So I'm actually going to predict an upset here. I think Everton are going to win. I think that they will create chances from set-piece situations. Defensively, they're pretty solid. And I just think Man United right now on a really bad spot in terms of confidence. And even the games they've won in recent weeks, they have not been playing well. And a robust, well-organised Everton side heading to Old Trafford, the alarm bells would be ringing in my head if I was Erik ten Hag. And I think this is kind of the last type of team that he needs to face right now with United and all the issues they've had. So I'm going for Everton to win. Let's call it 2-0. West Ham against Burnley, Andy, what are you looking for this one? Because West Ham got themselves back on track, but they do have a Europa League last 16 either side of this game, and Burnley pretty much gone, right, in terms of their Premier League status.
Yeah, West Ham have found a nice little sweet spot in their fixture list of late, and they're making the most of it after they went 6 without a win. They get Brentford, who, as already discussed, terrible form. They get Everton, as you just discussed, not in great form either. And they've picked up a couple wins and given themselves just a little bit of confidence. They've scored 7 goals in the 2 games as well after they scored 3 in 6 games. So this is one of the most Jekyll and Hyde teams that I can remember in the Premier League. And for being an established team that you know is not going anywhere, a team that's certainly in the top half, a team that's competing for Europe, and obviously being in Europe again has played its part in this. It's just who knows what to expect from West Ham every time they take the field. The good thing, I think, for this one is that we, to your point, Joe, we kind of do know what to expect from Burnley at this point of the season. They're going to try and pass it around. They're going to give it away in a really terrible spot of the field. They're going to give you 2 or 3 scoring chances that you did absolutely nothing to create or earn. And all you have to do is put 1, maybe 2 of them away, and they're going to shrink. And so I don't see the way that this game goes any way other than West Ham coming out on top. I'll go 2-1 because Burnley, to their credit, they have not quit. They have not given up on the season. They have stuck to what they do. It just hasn't served them incredibly well.
You saw it on the table there as well with Paqueta, Mohamed Kudus, Bowen in form now. It's West Ham aren't far from finishing 6th again behind Man United there. So all said and done after a really bad wobble mid-season, if they finish 6th and go to the Europa League semi-finals again, I mean, it's a brilliant season for the Hammers, all things considered. Wolves against Fulham. Talking about 2 teams, I wouldn't say brilliant season. Wolves is pretty brilliant. Fulham is solid, and they've recovered and won 3 of the last 4. I'd probably say this is going to be a draw. Muniz up front, I think, is the Mitrovic that Fulham needed, the replacement that they really needed now. He scored a few goals, 5 and 5, the young Brazilian striker. Finally looks like that target man when they're whipping crosses into the box. Can finish, can hold it up. Exactly the player they need in Marco Silva's system. And Wolves obviously hammered at Newcastle last time out, but I just think, obviously, missing Hwang and missing Cunha up top, their 2 main strikers, that really impacted them. But Pedro Neto can create a lot of chances. But I think they're going to even each other out this weekend. So Wolves, Fulham, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Chelsea, Newcastle, Nick Mendola, what are you going with for that?
Yeah, thanks. Because what the heck is going to happen in this game?
Yeah, true.
the heck, what Chelsea is going to come out? Will Newcastle remember to defend after giving up 450 chances a game and then suddenly shutting out Wolves? I would not like any less than to have to predict a score for this game. However, I do think at some point Chelsea just there's too much talent there to not get a notable win that gives Poch some love. Remember their last two matches: a draw against Man City, a draw against Brentford. I could see this being a win that gives them 4 matches unbeaten in the Premier League.
Wow. And then won't be chanting from Mourinho's name from the Chelsea end anymore.
Oh, wouldn't it be delightful?
Yeah, feel a bit sorry for Poch, but he's really not feeling the love from those Chelsea fans.
Drogba, you're coming out of retirement.
Oh wow!
So Chelsea 2-1. Chelsea
2-1. All right. Talking about some of the strugglers, obviously Nottingham Forest is scrapping for their lives at the bottom end of the table. Potential points deduction hanging over them between now and the end of the season. The way they lost against Liverpool last time out really hurt them as well, and their reaction, the decision, everything seems to be going against Forest right now. Brighton as well, though. I mean, they haven't won back-to-back Premier League games since September. I said that last week, and then they were hammered at Fulham last weekend. Obviously, got the Europa League last 16, ties against Roma, a very informed Roma under De Rossi in recent weeks. Worried a little bit about Brighton in the future. Maybe De Zerbi's getting so many links with these big teams across the Premier League and across Europe. I'm probably going to go for a Brighton win, though. I just think that they have so many good attacking players. Forest are just still all over the place. Lineup changes from week to week. It'll be tight. I'm going to go 2-1 to Brighton for that game, but I think they'll get a morale boosting win just to kind of keep themselves in European conversation at the upper echelons of the table. Bournemouth against Sheffield United. Sorry, Sheffield United going for an easy Bournemouth win there. They've been really, really good. Sheffield United, I quite like Chris Wilder. He tells it how it is, and it's almost like he's just preparing for the Championship next season. And we said it so many times on this show. Sheffield United, what they did when they got promoted to sell their 2 best players was lunacy. And they just haven't been good enough this season. So I think Bournemouth, with their attacking talents, Solanke, etc., will have a field day. I'm going 3-0 to Bournemouth against Sheffield United. And Andy, take us home. Crystal Palace against Luton. I kind of like what I've seen from Palace since Glasner's been in charge. And Luton, like what I've seen from them all season long. You know exactly what you're going to get with them. They are horrible to play against. So what's going to happen at Selhurst this weekend?
I think Luton are going to win. And I'm finally getting on board with you, Joe. You have been on Luton are going to stay up. I think Luton has something about them. I'm impressed. Like every little compliment you've given to Luton this season, I was like, yeah, okay. And I think at this point of the season and going up against Palace, they were incredibly lucky to have a chance to get anything out of that game against Spurs. An incredible free kick by Eze. But other than that, they did absolutely nothing in that game. And I understand Glasner has to come in and build a foundation for that team. They're not going down this season, and so he's got something to work with. He can take this kind of grace period and build something up. And I think he's working slowly towards that, whereas Luton are in go, we are desperate to save our lives kind of mode. And I just compare those two things, and I think, how does this not end in a Luton victory? It'll be late. It'll be dramatic. It'll be an ugly, scrappy goal. We know all of these things. Palace should know these things, and yet I think it still is going to happen. So I'll go 3-2 with a late winner to Luton.
Well, that seems very Luton, that scoreline, and just they've been so close against all the big teams recently. Just these heartbreaking defeats, clawing themselves back into games. But their situation, they're not far from Everton and Forest, and knowing those potential points deductions coming for those teams, it's just, I think, giving them that extra belief that they can stay in the Premier League. And you're right, I've been mad on the Hatters all season long. I really like what they're doing with the resources. Yeah, I'm glad someone noticed. Yeah, I really like them. I really, really like them as a team. And yeah, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to stay up. But I've been saying that since day one, so I've got to keep saying that this season. All right, lads, that was up and down the table for Match Week 28. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the information on how to watch the games this weekend, live analysis, reaction, and much more from all 10 games. It's a great time of the season. The business end of the campaign is here, up and down the table. It's going to be fun. Enjoy the games wherever you're watching.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.